What's up everyone, welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. Today's project replacing the drive belt of this Buell XB12S 2009. Pretty easy job, takes a bit of a time, not too hard. um, if you can see this, you can actually see the threads coming out of it. This has been used for a long time. This belt must be, I don't know, 10-12 years old. um, so it's definitely the time to replace it. So to do it, you definitely need it on a sturdy position. This part needs to come out, and these belt guards, top and the bottom, needs to come out. You don't necessarily have to get this out, but I'm gonna take it out just so that I can show you. This cover needs to come out, because I believe that you can slide the belt through here, so you don't necessarily have to take this off. I'll decide when I get to there if I'm gonna take it off or not, because I'm a lazy person myself. But you definitely have to take this one off. Few bolts here, and some over there, and that should pop right off. And then this one needs to come off, which is held by 2 bolts, I believe. Alright, let's get to it. So I'm not really familiar with imperial sockets, but I do have a socket rail set, so let's get to it. I think these are 316. No, there's no, so 532. Okay, so we'll start with that. Okay, that didn't work. I'm gonna go ahead and crack these open. And this mounts onto here. Those are probably 316. Yep, those are 316. Oh. That mounts onto there. There's one bolt that goes on there, and there's another one that's on this side, and I think that's all it connects. So let's see if it comes out just with those bolts. And apparently there's a space in the bit behind of it, so make sure you don't lose it, keep it together. So there's a space behind this one too. It's 532. I forgot that. I'm just gonna put this part and fast forward. Okay, so that's off. So I could see that this bolt was holding on as well, so that means this one and all of them has spaces behind them, so make sure you get them on when you're putting it back on. Okay, so if you can see, you don't exactly have to take this off. You should be able to slide the belt on, or else you can take this off and let it hang by something, so that you don't have to go through the hassle too much. But if you are taking it off, it's, I believe, held on by these 3 bolts, and you can take it off from there like that. So I'm gonna take off these covers next, and these were held by I believe 1 bolt is inside. You have to take it from the other side, go through the wheel, and there's 2 bolts holding this on the bottom. Oh no, there's 3. So 1 2 3, and all right, so let's get to it. So there you go, you got more access now. I didn't have to take this one off. This cover, the total thing comes off as one unit, as you can see, but I did remove this. Now these are held by 316 inch hex bits, and the bolts for the swing arm unit, swing arm section, all held by quarter-inch hex bits. The only reason I took this off, there's a bolt right behind it. You either can use a L handle, which are much shorter than you can get, but since these are bolted onto the swing arm itself, it's gonna be much tighter. So if you remove this, you're gonna have more access and it's gonna make your life easier. So now all you got to do is drop this unit out, and then you should be able to pull this belt out. Okay, so I believe these two bolts are 916. Yes, they are. So just drop these two bolts and it's gonna be very tight. So make sure to give enough force. If it looks rusty, spray some WD-40 or something beforehand, so it makes your life easier. This looked alright, so I didn't spray any WD-40 or anything. So let's see. I'm just gonna put these ones over here. If this is too tight to come out, you might have to jack up the wheel and loosen up the axle. Yeah, so you're gonna have to jack up the wheel, loosen up the axle a bit to get this out. Let's get to that now. Okay, so before I'm gonna jack it up, I'm gonna take these crash bobbins off. There's two on each side. I believe these are 6 mil, because yeah, they were put in New Zealand, so that's the reason why there's a 6 mil. Shouldn't be too tight or anything. And there's a 1 pinch bolt underneath that pinches the axle together. So once this comes off, you might have to hold from the other side. Yeah, because it's a one long bolt. And as you can see, that's how these two crash bobbins meet. And now you got to loosen this one, and even with the pinch bolt underneath, you might be able to loosen it. So let's see. I'm gonna first check. On second thought, I'm gonna first jack it up and then loosen this so that the wheel is in the air, then I can move it around. So I jacked it up using this one. It's pretty sturdy enough because there's spacers in between, and also you're not keeping it jacked on top of it, you're just keeping it, using it to jack it up. Let's see, these should be a 5/16 or something like that. No, even bigger, so 3/8. So that's 3/8. It's pretty tight. Okay, once it opens, you can loosen this, and then you can loosen the axle. So I've got this adapter. These builds usually come with the adapter of its own, but I don't have that adapter, and that's my adapter. It goes into a socket, but hey, I've lost that adapter, but this does the job. So I've cracked this open already, and I'm gonna use this ratchet to loosen it up. Still tight. Let's see, can I move this? Okay, so I'm loosening this about that much now. If you can see, the axle has come out a bit, and this is fairly loose. Now this should be we should be able to pull it out. Give it a wriggle, maybe lift up the belt itself, and there you go. There you go, that pulls out. So keep it aside. Now you can't drop the belt with this stand in its way. You can loosen the belt out like that, but you can't take it out when the stand is in the way. So I'm gonna jack it up like this, but I'm not gonna remove the jack from the other side so that side can rest. Remove the jack, remove my adapter, jump the belt out of there, and there you go. So that pops out of there. That's your old belt. Now let me go get the new belt. So I've got the new belt here. I put these letters facing outwards. That's how it usually goes on. So everything pretty much goes on back in the reversal way that you took everything out. Slide this underneath this thing, and if you could see, it was a bit hard to take it out from here. And when you're putting it on, you basically have to twist it and align it with the tooth. Like if you can see me twisting it, and it pretty much goes on like that. So when you rotate this sprocket with your hand, it'll get aligned. Once it's aligned with the tooth, it slides into the place like that. Once it's in that sprocket, you just need to put it on the rear sprocket, and it's pretty much game on after that. Even putting it on the rear sprocket, you can't put the complete belt at once, so you got to slide it in a little by little, because this is a pretty new belt, and it'll be, the tension of the belt will be definitely much greater than the old belt. Once it's aligned with the tooth on the rear wheel, you just push it on. And there you go. That's your new belt in place. Now I'm gonna put the bike back on the stand so that there's not too much pressure on the exhaust, and drop it. So I've realized that I didn't have this recording on while I put it the puller, but it's pretty easy. You just have to keep this belt loose enough. If you can see, it's still loose, but it being a new belt, this will be not as tension and not as be squishy or whatever you call it. So it's gonna be a bit hard, but if you keep this loose enough, it's pretty much just lift this belt off from here and slide this. So once it gets to this point, it'll be tight, but using the nuts on itself, you can slide that in, or use a rubber hammer like this, and you should be able to tap it in like slightly. If you can see, it's going in. You don't even have to tap it right really hard, like. And it's pretty much in there. You can adjust the belt by your hand so that it gives more freedom for it to travel around. And it's right at there, it's seated. If you can see, the belt's on there properly on these edges. You have to make sure it's not scraping against any of these. So There weren't any Loctite, and you're not supposed to put Loctite, but for ease of my mind, I'm gonna put some blue Loctite on these bolts, studs, before I put my nuts on. So I've got blue Loctite. I'm only putting a drop in there, and that should be enough. You don't have to put it on with the nuts because it's on the studs itself. So keep the blue Loctite away. Make sure which side your washer's gone, and then you can tighten up these nuts. And if you were thinking that it's gonna damage by hitting it, now you can see the nuts are going on easy. It didn't damage the thread. It's basically floating around. You just have to give it a bit of a push because it's a brand new belt. If you are new to using tools, I recommend not using a ratchet to tighten the up. So I use a breaker bar or a power bar, whatever you call it, to tighten this up, because ratchets can't handle that much power and could break, and you could end up injuring yourself. And there you go. So everything fine. It's gonna make a bit of a noise, don't worry about it. That's just because it's new, but after a few turns it's gonna be good as new. So now to put the rest of the things on, you start with the swing arm cover or addition, whatever you call it. And even on this swing arm addition and these ball points, I'm gonna put some Loctite just because it's a main part of the bike and it should be holding on tight. Alright, I'm gonna put everything together now and just put it on fast forward because it's basically the reversal of everything I did. Now as you could see, getting this plate on, it's a bit difficult because of these spaces. So you need to have it angled so that spaces won't falling out at that side, and then put all the bolts at once so that none of the spaces are falling out. And then you gotta align these 4 bolts. You can't tighten any of these until you tighten everything else. So basically these ones need to go in first because these are small ones. Once they are in enough, you don't have to tighten all them in all the way, because these go into a bit of a groove or a hole, as you can see. You can't tighten them because these plates still need the movement space, and that's gone in enough. Then you can go on to these ones. I'm not putting Loctite on these because these are small bolts and it's basic, just a cover. It doesn't affect your riding portions, nothing. You are not putting any weight on this, so you don't have to put any Loctite on this, because the next time you're gonna take it out, if these are Loctited, and since these are small bolts, they're gonna either seize in or strip off when you're trying to take it off, and that's gonna be too much of a job. And this doesn't need to be tightened in too much as well. As you can see, they go in nice and tight. And if you're wondering about my eye patch, I rushed to answer my phone and I ended up tripping and hitting my head against a piece of equipment, you could say, and I got a sort of a bit of a cut on my eye. Anyway, so those are tight. You tighten this one. After these are tight, you can go into the back and tighten up the axle. So everything's tight, everything's in place, the axle is tight. Just remember the axle, when you're tightening the axle, you'll feel getting tightened, and the belt getting tight itself. Because of the belt, axle will be more hard to tighten, but keep on tightening and this would come to the right tension. If you see, this is at pretty much at the right tension, slightly loose, but when you drop it on the ground, when it's on the ground not hanging off, it'll be even more tighter and at the right tension. I'll put these bobbins on, tighten up the pinch bolt underneath, and that's a Buell XB12S 2008 belt change. If this video was helpful, guys, like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, see you.